Here is your news in 90 seconds for Wednesday, 14th May 2025. Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar has announced sweeping cuts to government spending on ads, luxury vehicles, rentals and security details on her party's UNC Facebook page, promising to redirect funds toward national priorities like healthcare, infrastructure, education and crime prevention. Declaring an end to wasteful spending, Persad-Bissessar said taxpayers' money must now serve citizens directly. The move has prompted concern among media stakeholders, but is supported by economists as a necessary first step in addressing fiscal challenges. The Prime Minister stresses that these cost-cutting measures will not harm vulnerable groups, but aim to restore fiscal responsibility. Uncertainty surrounds the leadership of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service as Commissioner Erla Harewood-Christopher awaits formal reinstatement after her suspension was lifted. Despite a ceremonial handover and court clearance, the Police Service Commission has yet to issue official letters confirming her return or revoking Acting Commissioner Junior Benjamin's role. Nizam Mohammed and Pamela Elder have slammed the delay as unacceptable and damaging. With Harewood-Christopher's contract ending May 15th, the TTPS risk being left without a confirmed leader once again. Tobago's tourism industry is facing serious setbacks following a U.S. Level 3 travel advisory that lumps the island with Trinidad, despite differing crime realities. Reginald McLean, president of the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association, says the warning is unfair and misleading, as Tobago remains safe with low crime levels. He stresses the urgent need to market Tobago as a distinct destination. The advisory has already triggered cancellations and threatens deals with airlines and tour operators. McLean is seeking an emergency meeting with the tourism minister to address the crisis. And that was your news in 90 seconds. Okay, so we're on to our birthday segment this morning. I'm very excited. I tossed you right into it, but on to our birthdays this morning, and I'll tell you why I'm excited. So first up on the screen, a very happy birthday to my little sister, and I will continue saying little sister, Naya Nantes. A special happy birthday to you. I know you're missing me very much as your fave, but it's okay. I'll meet you soon, and I really do hope you enjoy your day. Next up, we have Marcel James. A happy birthday to you. Big birthday shout outs to you from the Tobago Updates family. Shirley Mapp, happy birthday to you, Sister Shirley. I really do hope you enjoy it and God's blessings to you through it all. You may be in school, but school is not stopping that celebration. I hope you have fun with your students. I hope you have fun during the day. Next up, we have Delvin Lawrence. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. And the weather is wet, but the weather is restful. So I hope that you do enjoy your day, even if it includes rest today. And last but not least, we have Donna Grant Moore. A happy birthday to you coming from the Tobago Updates family. You are our last birthday for this morning, so you have all that love and that greetings just piled up just to give to you. So Miss Donna Grant Moore, I wish you a happy birthday. And that was all for our birthdays this morning. So you know that we're in the month of lupus awareness, and we have a lot in store for you concerning that. We have new foundations being formed. We have a lot to talk about in terms of spoken word. Everything is here at Tobago Updates here this morning. Up first, we'll speak to Sophia Cooper, Special Programs Coordinator at Assembly Legislator, speaking to us on the primary plenary school tour and upcoming events. Next up, we go straight into our lupus talks with Tanisha Cupid James and Akela Springer on shades of lupus butterfly bliss. And last but not least, Ascala Sanwa George, spoken word artist, voice of lupus. So we have a lot in store for you here this morning. But before I go, I encourage you to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
With Flow Business's new smart solutions powered by super fast, reliable broadband, you'll feel like there are more versions of you working for you. From website design, development, and digital marketing to promote your business, 24/7 business class support to cloud solutions, security, and more. Multiply your growth today.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies, where innovation meets excellence and service reigns supreme.
Well, I want a proper window for me house, yeah? I want no shake thing in my place.
Our commitment is simple: to provide high-quality, innovative aluminum, vinyl, and glass solutions for both commercial and residential spaces.
We get one wall on the side and we get one hole. You can put a window there, invent something, a window for put there.
At TGSL, we don't just meet needs, we exceed expectations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style.
Well, me meet ya. Me don't know who I'm talking to, but I have the cousin Tufina tell me for call all you go get proper thing for put there. Me don't know.
Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business.
Driven? No, I ain't driving. I get a bus ticket. One of me pick me them go drop me down there. Must bring me down there. Russo Trace Springer down by the place down there.
Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products, it's about relationships. It's about you.
It's all about me? Who's your family? You know Edna and Dorka and them, you know them, but you resemble them Edward boy and them Edward people them you.
Tobago Glass Supplies, Russo Trace Spring Garden, telephone number 639-6266. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
Want to get better? Where to start? What kind of exercise to do? What to eat? How to get restful sleep? Need a doctor to search for root cause? Look no further. Come to Majuba Hill Lifestyle Center Foundation at our Wellness Center in Goodwood, or Food Hub in Darrow Springs, Scarborough, or Doctor's Office in Goodwood and Darrow Springs. Contact 49SWIFT 4979438.
Quartz is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Quartz Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more. Quartz Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
For our bicentennial celebrations, we are going to fully immerse you in Tobago's legislative history.
We are going to show you the importance of understanding oneself for the present and future development of our people. And for us, it all starts here.
The celebration starts today, April 23. This marks the day that Governor F.P. Robinson laid the foundation stone for construction of the building in 1821. It took 4 years for the building to be completed, and it is considered to be one of the best examples of Georgian architecture in the region. Today, it stands uptown Scarborough for 2 centuries, and you get a chance to touch 200 years of history at this year's Night of Mystery, Saturday, 26th April 2025. It's a tour of the building, but with a twist.
We kick off the first event for our babies, our future. We wanted to find a unique and creative way of including our preschoolers in our celebration. Little Voice, Big Heritage gives our preschoolers the opportunity to do a little research with the help of mommy, daddy, and of course the teachers, to script a verse about anything legislative and present it to an audience. We'll even help by providing a breakdown of our legislative history from 1825 to 2025 for you to choose from.
The month of May is going to be jam-packed with activities for our young debaters as the highly anticipated primary plenary caravan. Our staff will visit all primary schools and begin training sessions from May 12th. Last year was definitely a learning curve for us. As we visited schools, we quickly learned our primary schoolers wanted to know more. And in an effort to fulfill our mandate of engaging and educating at all levels, we have decided to include their voices in the much talked about autonomy discussions. What will be presented? We just have to wait and see when these primary school students take over the House to hold their debate on Thursday, June 12, 2025.
Listen, we have a full calendar of events on our website. If you scan this code, it will take you straight to all the dates. There's our weekly web series on myths and memories. We tell the stories you love and easy to remember for you to share with your friends and family starting in May.
If you want a deep dive into what really happens in Tobago and not what's just in the books you've read, you'll want to be a part of our panel discussion. Tobago historians, former assemblymen, youth debaters will engage in thought-provoking discourse. Look out for This Is Us, Legacy Cultural Celebrations.
During the Tobago Heritage Festival, we would show how Tobago's legislature affected people's lives. People were restricted from becoming members of the Assembly legislature. But with the number of landed Tobagonians, things started to change. Find out more at our Tobago Heritage Festival presentation in July.
The Assembly building housed a critical part of our island's history. Through various mediums, we will host our first ever exhibition at the Tobago Fine Arts Center at Fort King George. The People's Gala is in September. It is a celebration that pays recognition to the men and women who define us. We will honor the members who fought for where we are today.
In October, we end our bicentennial celebration with a dedication ceremony to recognize the Assembly building as a heritage site.
Check out our socials regularly for updates or go to tobagolegislature.org for details.
All things flow from here. And when we think of that phrase, it's supposed to evoke some form of feeling, be it nostalgia or whatever it might be. The fact remains that when we think of Tobago, this building is the one place to which everything flowed. Be it churches, courthouses, library, finance,
post office.
This is us. Everything flows from here.
Welcome back to Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates. Now, as promised, we start our jam-packed interviews this morning. And the first interview up is here to speak to us about the primary plenary school. I don't want to say tour, but an event. She'll take you through all of the events this morning, and I want to welcome to studio Sophia Cooper. She's a special programs coordinator at Assembly Legislature. Good morning to you, Sophia.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. All right, so she has, as I said, a lot in store to speak to you about. Now, we know what happens at Assembly Legislature. We know the debates that happen there with the adults, etc. We know what comes out of it, right? But do we know that the little ones are now invited to, take us through their debating skills, showing us that they are ready for the world of debates, etc., etc., right? I don't want to say too much because that is what Sophia is here to speak to us about today. All right, so what ages would you be catering to for the entire tour?
Our calendar of events for the bicentennial celebration, and this is where we pay recognition to Tobago's legislative history.
Okay.
And you could appreciate that that's not an easy sentence to dive into, right?
It is not.
Like, how do you introduce legislative history to students? It doesn't really sound interesting or roll off your tongue. So this is what we've done. We've created a number of activities that are either tactile or immersive,
right?
So that when we take young people through those experiences, they come away learning something. But the idea is to ensure that they're engaged and they're having fun. And that's why we're having the primary school tour that leads to the primary plenary.
Okay.
And the primary school tour is when we go to all 42 primary schools across the length and breadth of Tobago, and we introduce them to this idea of Assembly Legislature.
Okay.
What we focus on is the idea that you can participate in your own democracy. And to do that at the Assembly Legislature, we host debates. And then after we take them through the history, we introduce them to key persons, whether it's the presiding officer that runs the legislature, or we talk about people like Mr. A.N.R. Robinson, who was the chairman in 1980. And we really get them to see that it's relatable, that it's not just for adults. And so when they meet us on the 12th of June inside the chamber, they are ready to go. We did it last year, and I tell you, I don't want to say that they were better than the adults. That would be unfair. But based on the response that we got, people were so... I guess it was unexpected that children of that age could deliver, but sometimes we underestimate children. That's the thing.
So you're stressing on children that age. Now, I just want to add in here that we have different age groups taking part in this plenary, right? Let's focus a little bit on Little Voices, Big Heritage. I think the viewers would be a bit shocked to hear the age group that this is catering to. So tell us what the age group is.
Little Voices, Big Heritage are for those children 3 to 5 years old.
Wow.
So it's in the form of a verse-speaking experience.
Yes.
And the subject matter is actually the building that we're in. So that building is 200 years old this year. And in it, for those who could remember, it was the first Scarborough Library.
Okay.
And then it had EBC in that building at one point, Inland Revenue, the Registrar General's office. But actually it started out as a courthouse. And within the courthouse was the chamber. So it's really purpose-built for an assembly legislature and governance on the island.
Okay.
Now, again, 3 to 5 year olds. Like, how do we deal with that?
I was just about to ask, like, how do you keep the focus of a 3-year-old or a 5-year-old on assembly legislature business, on the history of the assembly legislature? Tell us.
That's why it's in the form of a verse-speaking experience.
Right.
So we expect the teachers and the parents to jump in at this point. And I'm sure that they will be learning along with the little ones. But the idea is, how do you capture that information in a way that's relatable to a 3 to 5 year old and get them to remember the content? Now, we know if you've been to a graduation or one of the events with the preschool students, you know that they can deliver.
Of course.
Exactly. So we are putting it in a form that we know that they can accomplish this task. It's just that the parents and the teachers also have to step in. And the criteria for judging includes a section where you have to tell us where you got the information.
Right. So I'm going to touch on that part. Now, obviously, we wouldn't want to let them down easily. They ain't just coming to speak on camera, give us the little, flitty flare thing, right? They're coming to fulfill a criteria that has been given by the judges. So what is the criteria that we are judging these children based on?
Clear speech.
Okay.
We want them to deliver with confidence, but clear speech is important. Now, we're not focusing too much on costume. Just your school uniform or comfortable clothes is fine. Yes. If you want to do a little more, that's also okay. But clear speech is what we want. And we also want you to tell us where you got your information. Now, we do have a website, tobagolegislature.org, and on that website is a timeline, which tells you the year the foundation stone was laid, 1821. Okay. But construction was completed in 1825. Tell us about that. The building is made of limestone. Now, you don't have a lot of buildings made of limestone. True. You have a couple of them in Tobago. Include that. Talk about it was a courthouse. So here we have a courthouse in Tobago, its own legislature, upper house and lower house. Tell us about that. Tell us what happened in the building. So that's what we're challenging parents and teachers to do. Make sure they get the information, keep it simple, and tell us what it's all about, the bicentennial celebration for the Assembly Legislature.
Right. So we're focusing on ages 3 to 5. What's the next age?
The next stage would be those in primary school. And this is the June 12th.
Right.
Right. So coincidentally, the deadline for submitting the video is June 12th for the preschoolers, which is the day that the primary plenary is scheduled to take place. Okay. So you could do both on the same day. So you know that we're locked on to Assembly Legislature in June, right?
Right.
Right. So for the primary school students, we're actually doing the primary school caravan at the moment. We're going to 42 primary schools. We're going to deliver the content. So this one, the information is going directly to the students. And let me tell you, we've started on Monday. And these students, yesterday, the presiding officer was with us. And at the end of the session, we introduced them to what we do, roles and functions, a debate. We did a mock debate. Right? So they understand what it means to represent your peers, come up with your points and have pros and cons.
I don't think we should take turns for joking. I feel like, they look at TV, they look at how our parents react to certain things, and they're picking this up. So don't think that they don't know anything about debating. That is what I want to put in there.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things we focused on is a subject matter that relates to them. So for some schools, we talked about whether or not an AC unit should be in every class.
Okay.
Right? And most primary
schools... that debate.
But here's the thing about a parliamentary style debate. You have to do for and against.
Right.
So imagine those students who have to argue against having an AC. At first, you're kind of like, no, miss. But here's the thing. Challenge them to come up with pros and cons. It helps them see that a solution requires you looking at all sides of the problem.
Yes.
And they were able to come up with those points. One school was asked to debate the school uniform, if they like it or not. Again, they were able to come up with pros and cons.
Right.
The final school, not the final school, but one of the schools we did yesterday, they were debating the menu for the school feeding. I have to go delicately with that one. So they now had their debates on what the menu should be like, right? And some complaints that they had about what they currently experience.
How long did you stay on the complaints part of that?
Not too long. They were actually given 3 minutes to come up with their points, and then they chose somebody to speak on behalf of for and against, and then they delivered in the form of a debate.
Right. Okay. So I love how you mentioned the time that they were given in the mock debate.
3 minutes.
They were given 3 minutes
to
at the
come up with
primary
their
school
points.
level, right? But how much time would the ages 3 to 5 have for presenting their debate?
So in that case, they are just dealing with their content as opposed to a for and against.
Right.
And they have 90 seconds.
I promise, a preschooler could say a lot in 90 seconds, you know. I don't underestimate these little ones.
So 90 seconds, max. It could be less than 90.
Right.
But 90 seconds max.
Okay, I'm really excited to hear what these primary school children especially have to say, because that topic was very interesting. The school feeding menu, that's what you said. I
Yes.
remember when
I want to use the common terminal, but I'm not sure if it's political.
grub. Just
yes,
say
it
it's
is.
grub.
And they did use grub. They didn't put it over like school feeding menu. No. It's like
you
grub.
have to bring it over passionately, you know. This is what I don't like or like about grub. It's grub. We know it as grub, you know. So I'm happy that you all actually started that training with them to see where their talent actually is. So, you know, if they show up at the Assembly Legislature in fifth form, you all can't deny them.
But this is the thing. Even though we do that with the class, when we get to the training for primary plenary, we then take them through parliamentary procedures, debating techniques. We go through dress code and etiquette, public speaking techniques and presentation skills. We train them how to use the microphones in the chamber. Now, for debates, you're not allowed to read. So even if they have a speech and sometimes people see them with the paper, we've actually trained them how to deliver without that paper.
Right.
It is a rule in the house that when you're debating, you're not supposed to read. And sometimes that scares people a little. They kind of like, how do I remember all of this? But they do. So it's also training you mentally how to absorb a lot of information at the same time and selectively deliver that information. So they're transferable skills that they could take with them into secondary school.
Right. So we are excited for those debates, but I don't want our viewers to miss out on the events that you all have leading up to those debates. You know, that week of events. You said that the sign up for the 3 to 5 ends on the 12th, which is the same day as the primary plenary. So, you know, we see that there is I don't want to say overlap. Overlap is not the word, but there's this jam-packed session going on, you know, continuously at the Assembly Legislature that week. So could you highlight some of those events that we can look forward to in that week specifically?
So that week, we're going to focus on the children, right? So between now and then, it's all about the children, 3 to 5 for Little Voices, Big Heritage.
Right.
And the primary plenary, that's primary school students, specifically SCA students.
Right.
Right? So they're going into secondary school with this. Then we have an exhibition. Now that exhibition is carded to take place in July at the Fine Arts Center located at Fort King George. You can imagine that a building that's 200 years old might not have the space to accommodate 200 years of history.
Right.
So we have the Fine Arts Center, and that is going to be amazing in terms of capturing that history in artistic expression. Then we have the People's Gala that's coming up in August, and then there's a film event in October. So look out for what's happening on our social media pages, tobagolegislature.org, or if you want to come in and see our plenary live, you can do so in the public gallery on the 4th Thursday every month at 1:30 p.m.
And where do we find it live if we can't make it to the Assembly Legislature?
Right. So just look for Assembly Legislature on Facebook. We also have a TikTok page and a YouTube channel. If you want, you can type out the whole thing, Tobago House of Assembly Legislature.
All right. So we do look forward to those debates. We do look forward to the 3 to 5 and the primary school level children. We just look forward to the points that they have to bring across. We look forward to what these little ones can bring to the table as young as they are, just getting into that debate vibe for when they get older and they join the older leaders in Parliament, right? So we have a lot to look forward to from the Assembly Legislature, actually, under Ms. Sophia Cooper, who will be taking us through those events all up until October, right? So, I mean, stay tuned. Right? I don't want to give them my statement, but before I do so, Ms. Sophia Cooper, thank you so much for joining us here on Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates. We look forward to all of the events that are carded from this month on until October. The first event, of course, we are focusing on the 3 to 5, the Little Voices, Big Heritage, and then we go straight into the primary plenary school event that leads with a tour into that event. I don't want to get that wrong because we want to focus on those events specifically, right? So thank you once again. And in order to see this, remember to go to thaassemblylegislator.org. You'll see all of the events carded. And of course, if you want to watch it live, you can join them on their Facebook, TikTok, or YouTube page. All right. They look forward to sharing these events with you. Before I go, viewers, please share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
You think you know Premier League or Champions League football? What about international cricket or the IPL and CPL? How about NBA basketball? Well, now you can put your skills to work to earn some extra cash by betting on the games with TT Bet Arena. Simply go to our website, choose a sport you want to bet on, find the games and place your bets. And with your computer or mobile device, you can bet from anywhere. Just go to ttbetarena.com, sign up for a free account, make a deposit, and start betting. It's that simple. You can even qualify for our $2,000 sign-up bonus. We also have horse racing, plus live casino games where you can bet using TT dollars. And check our new Tobago location at 7B Milford Road, Crown Point. For more info, call or WhatsApp 494-0634. TT Bet Arena, the #1 sports betting company in Trinidad and Tobago.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With AMPLIA TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with AMPLIA's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 gigabyte fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With AMPLIA, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. AMPLIA. Do more, live more.
Are you in a dispute with a registered investment service provider of the TTSEC? Or maybe you're the victim of an investment scam? You can lodge a complaint or submit an anonymous tip to the Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission. Download our Investor Protection app or go to ttsec.org.tt to access our complaint form or submit an anonymous tip. Write a clear summary of your complaint. Submit copies of supporting documents along with the originals for verification. Provide a copy of the feedback received from the entity regarding your complaint. All investor complaints or scam reports submitted by the public are acknowledged and reviewed by the TTSEC. Investigations are pursued based on the outcome of the review. Trinidad and Tobago Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting the interests of investors and the public. You invest, we protect. Everyone benefits.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place, with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and look. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
After work.
Oh my God.
Welcome back to Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates. We are here in light of Lupus Awareness Month. You all see me coming back there. I was speaking a little bit. It's because we are excited to bring to you Butterfly Bliss. Yeah, let me just patch that up one time. All right, so I'm here. I'm joined with Tanisha Cupid and Akila Springer. They are the founders of Shades of Lupus. We'll hear a little bit about that, and then we'll go into Butterfly Bliss, the event. I don't know. These young ladies are so hardworking. They are so dedicated, and I see no better people to start such a program, right, on Shades of Lupus, that is. So, could you all tell us a little bit about Shades of Lupus? What inspired this venture?
Okay, so Shades of Lupus is the only support group in Tobago. We have been in existence for literally 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Fresh. About 3 weeks, Tanisha and I decided to do this support group just to help lupus warriors living on the island with support, probably financial support if we have the resources necessary, emotional support as much as possible, because of course support while dealing with a condition or disease, a chronic disease, is chronic. It's very, very important. So basically, that's just the aim of our support group.
All right. So I just want to bring in that I was there with the initial encounter before this venture started, right? That is actually what we were laughing about before we started. So I actually want them to share that story. How did you all meet? How was the idea formulated? You know, how did we get to the venture Shades of Lupus?
Okay, so I got diagnosed with lupus in 2022.
Wow.
And I got up one morning and I just could not walk. I was in excruciating pain.
Wow.
Yeah, and I went to the health center and they were like, oh, lupus, we need to send you.
Just so?
Wasn't just so, they were very kind. So it's like, oh, lupus, but what happened, they were on their P's and Q's, and I appreciated that.
Right.
Yes, so they covered all the bases. They're like, you know what? Let's it could be just inflammation, but let's get you they wanted to do a DVT,
right,
and they wanted to do an X-ray, just to cover the bases, make sure everything was good. So I had my little walking cane. I was going through it. Yeah, and I went to the hospital. I met Natty there. I saw Akila, and Akila like, lupus? Oh yeah, that does happen. I mean, you probably need a little steroids. I like
steroids.
I like wait. Yeah, that is one of the treatments. I know later on you're supposed to speak with Rihanna, Miss Harilal, so she'll delve into the complications of living with a disease like this.
Okay.
Yes, but Akila was there on her job. I said, wait, you have lupus? Because you sound a bit like you know what's happening. And she was like, yeah. I'm like, all right, somebody who I know with this thing, right? And fast forward some months after, I said, I reached out to you, Natty. I said, I did not know her name. I said, the lupus girl on your work.
that came out. She was just looking for a killer. Eh? Let's not put that over bad.
Yeah,
just looking for a killer.
Yeah, and from there I reached out to her. I said, I think that we need to come together and do something for Lupus Awareness Month, which is May, and we can get some kind of advocacy. We reached out to Miss Harilal. She was like, yes, this is something that is needed on the island, and that was it.
I'm actually happy that encounter happened. As I said before, I was there.
Yeah.
The encounter was it was pretty dramatic, as you can see, very dramatic people, right? But I am happy that you all shared in this want for this venture because well, I have access to Akila's statuses,
Yes,
you know, and TC statuses. So I was able to see, you know, those updates on certain factors or facts that are a part of having lupus.
Correct. Right.
You know, things that we may not know about, you know, the natural enjoyments we have standing in the sun. People with lupus, they don't have that, you know. So it's a lot to learn, and I'm happy that Shades of Lupus has started so that we can educate the public. Is that you all don't get to judge people on a whole, but especially people with lupus. If I tell you I can't stand up in the sun, don't tell me nothing after that, right?
If I tell you I'm tired, don't say nothing.
Don't say nothing after that. If I tell you my joints are hurting, we're not having a conversation after that, right?
Correct.
So I love the Shades of Lupus venture. I love the fact that we have two dynamic, you know, dedicated young ladies at the head of this game, right? So let's get into Butterfly Bliss. You all said this is the first event on the Shades of Lupus.
It is.
You all are very excited. When I saw where you all will be going to have the event, I said, ooh la la, this has to be TC behind this. TC being Tanisha Cupid, let me just put that out there, right? So let's go into the details. For those who may be suffering with lupus, I don't want to say suffering, but those who have lupus.
Lupus warriors.
Lupus warriors. Thank you, right? Those who have lupus, the lupus warriors, those who may know people with, those who just want, the caregivers, the ones who just want to know about lupus itself. Let's get into the information about where they could follow. So what is the Butterfly Bliss event and where would it be happening?
Okay, so Butterfly Bliss is a fundraising and awareness event, our first fundraising and awareness event for lupus. It will be held at the Healing Garden on Sunday, 18th of May, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
All right.
Right? If the tickets cost $150, you can contact the numbers or our hotline to purchase tickets or the numbers on the flyer. We are all over social media, so you will see the flyers somewhere. Our friends and family are very supportive, so you will see someone sharing that flyer. Yeah? So just contact the numbers on the flyer and you'll be able to purchase your tickets there. We are also selling tickets at the door. So even if you haven't pre-bought a ticket, you can still come to the event and you'll be able to purchase a ticket there.
You know, Akila and Natty, I must butt in here. Persons are saying we can't find any purple.
Oh, yes.
We can't find any purple. TC, we have no purple. Akila, where am I finding purple? If you don't have purple,
still come.
Still come. Still come, okay? And don't worry, next year we'll be speaking to all the entrepreneurs to get their purple in stock for me.
I mean, it's just a startup here. You know, we want to encourage people to come out. The purple will be bought at some point. We just want you to come to the event.
That's right.
Right. I don't have purple in my wardrobe, but you know, it's something I would like to go to.
Yes.
So yours said $150.
Correct.
What they don't know, I mean, that was very much highlighted on the flyer, and I love that part. It caters to food and drink.
Yes.
You all will not just be coming to learn about lupus, but to eat with the lupus warriors, right? So that $150 is not going to waste. But let's look at the fundraising part. What will the funds be going toward?
Okay, so funds will be more than likely going toward helping a lupus warrior with financial needs, whether it be food hampers or just support getting to and from clinic, etc., etc. We also want to start a skill sets program. Hopefully in the future, we'll be able to start a skill set program, so the monies will be going towards hiring professionals to come and teach cake making, soap making, these type of things, so warriors can be able to learn a skill and use that to fund themselves in the future as well.
All right. Should we want to know more about this event, where do we find the information?
The information will be on our social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram at Shades of Lupus. We have a hotline, 773-4SOL, so 4 Shades of Lupus, that's 4765, and our Gmail account, which is shadesoflupustobago@gmail.com.
When I say dedication, I am not sugarcoating. I don't put words in my mouth to tell you. I don't know if you realize there is no wait out for this or it will be said subsequently or anything like that. I don't know. It's that they hit the ball running, like they hit the road running. They are ready to bring Shades of Lupus to the public, and they're asking you to be a part of such. So you can find them on their social media platforms. You can find all of the information on this event and much more. That is Butterfly Bliss on the Shades Shades of Lupus with founders Tanisha Cupid and Akela Springer. All right, so ladies, Lupus warriors, thank you so much for joining us here on Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates.
Thank you for having us.
You see why they met? So you see this? You see that? Right. So once again, thank you so much for joining us here. So those of you who are just joining us, for whatever reason it may be, waking up late, this was Shades of Lupus by Tanisha Cupid and Akela Springer, speaking to you on their first event, Butterfly Bliss. It will be taking place on Sunday, 18th May 2025 from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It will be held at the Healing Garden at Le Chateau, Mount Pleasant. Right? There's a lot to look forward to, including food, stressing on food and drink, and of course that musical vibe that you can look forward to as well.
And medical professionals.
And medical professionals.
We'll have presentations.
They have everything coming to you. Medical professionals coming to speak to you on lupus, on what lupus looks like, what are the signs of lupus.
Diet, right?
You know, diet.
Dermatologist.
There's a diet you all have to follow.
Yes.
There is a lot to learn here. There is a lot to learn. And I mean, I may be smiling, I may be laughing with them, but this is a lot to me. I mean, aside from standing in the sun, not being able to stand in the sun, you all have a diet that you all have to follow.
Yes.
So we'll be learning all of this at Butterfly Bliss.
Correct.
Right. So we have a lot to look forward to. Right. So, Akela, Tanisha, TC, thank you so much for being with us here on Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates. Viewers, this was Shade of Lupus Butterfly Bliss event. All right, so before I go, before you share the live, let's pull up our photo of the day. Here we have the beautiful and picturesque photo of the day. I'm going to drop it right there because you know we announce where it is. But I mean, this photo is very familiar. I mean, even TC and Kayla looking at this, and they could tell me where it is. We wouldn't give it out right now, right? But a part of Tobago, a little snippet of our beautiful Tobago. And of course, we'll mention that location. Akela, we'll mention that that location later on in our program. But before we go, I just want to encourage you to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back.
TNTech is pleased to advise that its Roxborough Service Center has reopened. Starting Monday, 10th March, customers can once more visit the Roxborough Administrative Building to pay TNTech bills, request new connections, and more. TNTech, powering the nation into the next generation.
Do you think you know Premier League or Champions League football? What about international cricket or the IPL and CPL? How about NBA basketball? Well, now you can put your skills to work to earn some extra cash by betting on the games with TT Bet Arena. Simply go to our website, choose a sport you want to bet on, find the games and place your bets. And with your computer or mobile device, you can bet from anywhere. Just go to ttbetarena.com, sign up for a free account, make a deposit, and start betting. It's that simple. You can even qualify for our $2,000 sign-up bonus. We also have horse racing, plus live casino games where you can bet using TT dollars. And check our new Tobago location at 7B Milford Road, Crown Point. For more info, call or WhatsApp 494-0634. TT Bet Arena, the #1 sports betting company in Trinidad and Tobago.
Courts is well known as the Caribbean's largest retailer, providing consumers for generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Courts Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. For generations with the very best products to enhance their homes. This year, we bring our expertise to businesses. Courts Business Solutions will serve small, medium, and large companies with the very best products at the most competitive prices, backed by warranties and after-sales support. Hoteliers, office managers, restaurants, and so many more. Courts Business Solutions, a brand of the Unicomer Group.
Welcome to Tobago Glass Supplies. Where innovation meets excellence and service reigns supreme.
Well, I want a proper window
innovations. Our range includes the finest aluminum cladding options, setting new standards in durability and style.
Me don't know who I'm talking to, but I am the children cousin to Fina tell me for call all you go get proper thing for put that me don't know.
Driven by our passion to elevate, we aim to be the leading supplier in the Caribbean market while retaining our identity as a family-owned business.
No, I ain't driving. I get a bus ticket. One of my picnic them will drop me down there. Must bring me down there. Russo Trace Springer down by the page down there.
Because at Tobago Glass Supplies Limited, it's not just about products, it's about relationships, it's about you.
It's all about me. Who's your family? You know Edna and Doka and them, you know them. But you is them, but them Edward one, them Edward people, them you.
Tobago Glass Supplies, Russo Trace Spring Garden, telephone number 639-6266. Innovation, quality, service. That's Tobago Glass Supplies Limited.
When the game is on, you don't want to miss the best moments. With AMPLIA TV, you can enjoy our ultimate sports package and watch your favorite games on the go. Stay connected and informed with sports news, scores, and stats with AMPLIA's fastest internet speeds. Up to 1 gigabyte fiber internet, you can stream riveting football action, cricket, NBA games, and much more. With AMPLIA, it's game on. Visit amplia.co.tt or call 800-4663. AMPLIA. Do more, live more.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning and welcome back to Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates Morning Show. You're viewing us here live in Portmore, Scarborough, Tobago. Yes, my name is Dwayne Nurse. For those of you just joining us or rejoining us, we want to continue the discussion this morning surrounding women of substance. We know who that is, but before I reveal who that is this morning, we have our photo of the day. All right, of course, you are to take some time, guess what this is. For most of you, this should be quite obvious, but I want to say it's Glamorgan. I might be wrong, but we will see. It will be revealed at the end of this interview before we go over to Good Morning Tobago. So this morning, we have none other than Miss Onika Maz. Certainly no stranger to us here at Tobago Updates and here for us in Tobago. Good morning and welcome to you.
Hi, good morning, Dwayne.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
I don't know if you read the Bible very well. I'm sure you do. But I was reading in Chronicles and Kings, and they always talk about the mighty men of valor.
Mighty men of valor. I refer to my sons as mighty men of valor.
Yes. And definitely great women were behind those men. You are certainly no different.
Thank
right?
you. I received that.
Right. We put a lot of respect on your name and the work that you do in Tobago, in the country, in the region, and in the world. A woman of substance. For those of our viewers who might not know about this organization, just share with us a bit about it, please.
Okay, sure. So Women of Substance is a registered non-profit organization, and Women of Substance offers support to persons affected by domestic violence and abuse. Women of Substance was birthed out of my experience, my personal experience with intimate partner violence. So during my experience, I I did not know of support systems, and I felt that there were gaps. And I am a Christian, I am a believer, and I know that I got the lead from God to birth Women of Substance. So coming out of my mess, God gave me a message and a ministry through, or that is Women of Substance.
All right. So you have been doing quite a number of things, a number of work in terms of sensitizing. I don't want to make it gender oriented, but the world in Tobago about both men and women, young boys and young girls, right? About the work that you do. Just share with us some of the most notable feats that you would have accomplished, especially in recent times, and some of the things that you've been doing.
Okay, so we have been doing awareness programs. We have done a Purple Bench campaign, right? And for me, that was dear to our heart, dear to my heart. I consider that to be my baby that I nurtured.
What was that about?
So it was a domestic violence awareness campaign where purple benches were placed in communities throughout Tobago, and of course we did some in Trinidad. So persons were seeing purple benches and wondering, what are these purple benches and why are they there? Now, I'm sad, and I must say that I'm sad that I'm no longer seeing them other than in the bus sheds. I saw still there's Crown Point, Black Rock, and some other bus shed. But the Purple Bench Domestic Violence Awareness Project was a project where we painted benches purple, and we had domestic violence messages and contact information on those benches. So what we did at that time was partnered with CPEP so that we provided the paint and the artwork, and they assisted us with the painting of the benches, and we got an opportunity to sensitize the workers while all this was happening.
Right.
So the persons were asking, why purple benches? Why concrete benches? And our explanation was, and still is, and still will be, in every community throughout Tobago, persons can identify at least one person who they know personally have been affected by domestic violence and abuse. So we wanted that permanent reminder. So every time people recognize these or see these purple benches, the reminder is there that, you know what, this is a social issue and we need
to address it.
Okay. Yeah, so this is a plea, a silent plea, a technical plea to have our purple benches. We are open to collaborate. You know, how could they just repaint the benches and not? I mean, I feel like, you know, our effort was downplayed. It is a social issue.
Yeah.
We know of people who are affected by domestic violence on a daily basis. We receive calls on a daily basis.
Right.
So we want persons to have the information. Persons must be able to see a bench, sit on that bench, reach out to somebody, reach out to Women of Substance. Hey, I need help. How can I get the help that I need?
And perhaps you need to write to the authorities to find out what was going on there, because, you know, these social issues spiral into greater, greater issues in the country as it pertains to crime, etc., etc., etc. And, you know, we have social unrest, which would be mitigated if we deal with these issues head on.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that is why I always say that at Women of Substance, we believe in prevention is better than cure.
Correct.
Right? So we don't want to be an organization that responds to what is happening. We want to be able to prevent, and hence the reason we go into the schools and have continuous conversations, right, and programs that our young people can benefit from.
So while we're on programs, you are here because you are championing a program themed raising resilient leaders, respect, responsibility, and empowerment.
Yes.
And you're doing this in commemoration of the day of International Day of the
International Day of the Boy Child, which is celebrated on Friday, 16th May.
All right. So how does, what you do being more, especially with your experience, domestic violence against women, where does the boy child come in all of this? Where's the relevance to that? Because how they're young, are we not supposed to be protecting them from these conversations? Your thoughts?
Great question. What we know is that the higher percentage, based on reports, the higher percentage of perpetrators are males. What we want to do is not react, we want to prevent. So if we empower them, if we give them that information that they need beforehand, then they will be at a place where they can make informed decisions. They can choose wisely when it comes to relationships. Gender-based violence, it's gender-based violence. It's not only women who are affected. Women are also perpetrators, and this we know. I am the proud mother of 2 sons, and I understand the effect of my experience on them. They were secondary victims, right? And
secondhand smoke is one of the worst.
Definitely, right? So we want to educate, we want to empower our young men. Our young men, we live in a society where our young men are not taught how to express their emotions, right? Bottle up your emotions, man up. What does man up mean? What does it mean to man up? What does a strong man look like? A strong man, I could look at you and say, okay, Dwayne is a strong man. But does it mean that because Dwayne is a strong man, Dwayne is not required to cry? Dwayne is not required to express how he feels. If Dwayne encounters pain, because Dwayne is a strong man, Dwayne is not supposed to say that, you know what, I am hurting because I saw daddy inflicting pain on mommy or mommy inflicting pain on daddy. So this is the reason why we tend to work with our young men. We also do work with our young women, but we work with our young men because we want our young men to be healthy young men, healthy emotionally. You understand? We want them to be able to express their emotions, and hence the reason we have in our male programs only male presenters.
And who are some of those male presenters? If you want to share, if you want to let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. We have our very own Kashif Wilson, musician.
And a family man as well.
And a family man, and former educator, powerful young man, right? Whom I have lots of respect for. He was also my 2 sons' former teacher. Right? We have Mr. Dion Mundy.
I don't know this gentleman at all.
He's a therapeutic counselor with the Division of Health, Wellness, and Social Protection. Powerful young man. We also have Lieutenant Kwame Clark, chaplain at the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force. Now, Kwame, for the people who know him or those that don't know, they should check him out on social media, Facebook. He's also a pastor, right? So he's the pastor that would show up to preach a sermon on gun violence, and he may have a weapon strapped on, you understand, to get the message across. So we were careful in choosing the speakers. It is a very informal setting where the young men can just be themselves. We are going to create a safe space for them so that they can share how they feel. They can share the challenges they face on a daily basis. When we have these sessions at the schools, we are amazed at the information we receive, and it pains my heart because as adults we believe that, you know what, if even the home is toxic, the children are not affected because, you know what, I'm a strong man, they will bounce back, they will grow out of it. But they carry a pain, and these children grow into adults who are broken and hurting. And you know what happens? It means that most of them become perpetrators. Right? So we definitely want to nip it in the bud. We want to give them that space to talk about how, you know, how they feel. Tell them what domestic violence looks like, what a toxic relationship looks like, and how they can contribute to a healthy relationship.
I know we are fast spent on time, but I have a burning question, and not to be facetious, but how do you see mitigating domestic violence and gender-based violence, right? With the emphasis of the boy child, when there are those of them who are already, you know, marinated in that kind of culture already. It's a way of life for them already. How are you, how does this symposium aimed at, bringing those out already? Is this going to be a one-time thing?
No, this program is done annually, and apart from the Boys Symposium, we have conversations, right? And last year we had our youth program where we engaged young persons from Trinidad and Tobago schools, and that was over a 4-month period. Right? So the conversations must be continuous, right? Because of course, it is, violence is ingrained in our society, our culture. People are comfortable sitting back and seeing a fight and recording, and not trying to
prevent or separate.
Definitely, because persons might say, I ain't getting involved because what if something happens to me, right? So
but more often than not, we escalate rather than de-escalate.
Definitely, right? And we need the conversation to be continuous, and hence the reason why it is not a one-off. And, I would say to persons in Tobago and worldwide, since, we are being viewed worldwide, people may see me at times and think, well, okay, you know what? Miss Mars is coming to... I am a professional beggar by now, right? Because when it comes to our programs, we are not funded by the government, and we are always seeking the help of the public. We are always asking persons to donate to us so that we can do these programs, because of course we have to provide lunches for these young men. We have to have a venue to keep the program. We have to, give them little incentives, and, we want persons to pour into us. We are pouring into Tobago, and because we want to see a better Tobago. We want to see a Tobago that is free from violence.
And while we're on the topic of venue, where will this event be taking place?
So it will be taking place at the Tobago Information Technology Limited building at Signal Hill, well, better known as the 211 building.
All right. So
we are encouraging the principals to send out the boys, ensure that they are there on time. The program starts at 9 a.m. If our boys can arrive at 8:50, so that they'll be seated and, we'll all be comfortable. We are going to be very happy. We are excited. The speakers are excited. We cannot wait for tomorrow, God's willing, for the start of that program to pour into our young men. We love our young men. We want our young men to know that they are mighty men of valor. We want them to know that they are loved, they are appreciated, and we want them to know what a toxic environment looks like.
My last question to you, Ms. Mars, is what would be the area of focus, right, in terms of topical discussions? I don't want to preempt you, but just one important area of focus tomorrow that, people would want to buy into and know more of.
Okay, so expressing emotions.
Emotional intelligence. Okay, good. Right. All right. So, Miss Maz, I want to thank you for being here. I wish we could have stayed a bit longer and delve more into, the intricacies of gender-based violence and how boys are definitely related to the mitigating strategy, of eradicating this social issue. I want to thank you for doing for the work that you're doing. Continue the great work that you're doing, and thank you for
very much.
joining us here on Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates Television.
Thank you for having me, and it is not by chance that I'm here on Youth Wednesdays.
Of course.
I really appreciate being here and look forward to continuing the conversation because, as I said, this is a conversation that should take place 24/7, 365.
Yes.
So thank you for being
The pleasure
inviting
is
me
all
here.
ours. So, guys, this brings us to the end of this interview. Remember, I told you from the onset that you had to guess a photo, right? But before we go, we must please bring up the photo, please, and thanks. And I want to go to our live to see if anybody got it first. Just give me a moment.
I would have said, what can George?
Can anybody guess on the live now where this is? And I've seen anybody saying anything, right? But for those of you who did not get it, right, it should have been this should have been an easy guess. But this is at Fort King George, up at the old hospital there, overlooking the sea. This is the right there. So guys, this brings us to the end of the Photo of the Day segment and Youth Wednesdays on Tobago Updates morning show. We're going to go over to Good Morning Tobago. Just remember to share the live, share the live, share the live. We'll be right back and have a great day.
The Division of Education is making strides in establishing an inclusive special needs campus in Tobago. THGI celebrates its 2025 graduates, and the Public Service Week is just around the corner. Spend the next few minutes with me as I bring you the latest coming out of the Tobago House of Assembly. This is 116.
Six. Beautiful island.
The Division of Education, Research and Technology has received the project brief for a groundbreaking Tobago campus for persons with disabilities. Developed by the Tobago Special Needs Committee, the proposed campus will offer inclusive education and support from birth to adulthood. Secretary Zorisha Hackett praised the committee's work as priceless, marking a major step toward equitable learning opportunities for all. Public Service Week 2025 takes place from the 21st to the 27th of June, celebrating the hard work of Tobago's public servants across all sectors. So the event highlights excellence in service delivery and promotes a more sustainable future. Stay tuned to the Office of the Chief Secretary's social media platforms for updates and all the details. The Tobago Hotel and Tourism Institute celebrated its 2025 graduates with a beautiful ceremony held at the Lowlands Multipurpose Facility on Thursday, May 7th, 2025.
Today is your day to soak it up and enjoy every minute of it, because you earned it. So let's celebrate love, gratitude, and plenty Tobago vibes. All you make me real proud. You all make Tobago proud.
Your integrity, your professionalism, and your commitment to excellence will be the currency by which you rise. And rise you must, my graduates. This is your time to step confidently into your next chapter, because Tobago is watching.
The Occupational Safety and Health Department of the Office of the Chief Secretary recently held its award ceremony, recognizing employees who've contributed to healthy, safe, and resilient workspaces across all divisions in the THA.
To our award recipients, congratulations. Your commitment is not only commendable, it is essential. Let your achievements tonight inspire your colleagues and serve as a powerful reminder that occupational safety and health is not just a responsibility, it is a shared value and a collective investment in our future.
Chief Secretary of Tobago, the Honorable Farley Chavez Augustine, extended congratulations to Mrs. Penelope Beckles Robinson on her appointment as Leader of the Opposition in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago.
You're viewing Tobago Updates Television, your exclusive gateway to Tobago, broadcasting the beauty of this island paradise to the world.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates, guys. I am your host, Chanel Felix. I know whenever you see me sitting here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have while I ask those questions that you want asked. And this morning, we continue our conversations and topics. And one of the things to note is that we are continuing to celebrate Lupus Awareness Month. This morning, I have the privilege of chatting virtually with Miss Rihanna Harilal, who is one of the Hummingbird Gold Medalist awardees nationally. Now, we want to say a special good morning to you, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Tobago. Oh, how I love this style. How are you?
We are doing fine over here. Now, it's Lupus Awareness Month, and you are president of the foundation called the Voice of Lupus, right? And you have also been one of those persons that have been battling with lupus. So, first of all, tell us a bit about some of the work that you have been doing as it pertains to the foundation.
So in 2010, I was diagnosed with lupus back in 2004, somewhere around there. And when I was diagnosed, there wasn't a Voice of Lupus to go to. And I dealt with my illness in a very, very hard way, because when you think of lupus and you understand the disease, lupus is a chronic autoimmune disease, and it remains a significant health challenge, not just in Trinidad, but also in Tobago, and often under-recognized and misunderstood. And individuals living with lupus face not just the physical toll of the disease, but also social stigma, limited access to specialized care, and insufficient public awareness. And back then, I was at the peak of my career in television. I'm a broadcast journalist by profession, and I would have been fired from my job in 2010. And then the Lord spoke to me to start this nonprofit. It was actually a Facebook page in 2010, and then in 2011, my mistake. It's been so long. I would have been fired from a top television station, and the Lord said to me, I want you to make this physical and make this Facebook page a physical entity, and I never looked back. It's been 14 plus years, and we've been doing a number of initiatives. And I've always had a heart for the Sister Isle because we are one Trinidad and Tobago. And in 2013, I started working in Tobago. I would have, done a lot of work utilizing a space at Penny Savers. The owner, Mr. Kirk Warner, would always allow us every month for almost 7+ years to come in once a month, and we would raise awareness, but we would also ask members coming into the supermarket who's shopping to give a donation so that we can provide a tangible support for those Tobagonians living with lupus who cannot work because of illness, and they're unable to provide for themselves and their families. So for many years, I'm talking about close to 7-8 years, the organization would have been coming to Tobago once a month to bring awareness and to also, provide support and what have you. So my journey really came from personal experience and the lack of support. And, I transformed my home here in Trinidad into the Lupus Learning Resource Center, where I provide essential services such as medical assistance, educational resources, food support, etc. And over the years, we've impacted over 1,700 families here, offering hope and advocacy to those living with lupus. But my heart has always been, how to bring more awareness and also tangible support for those in Tobago. So I know you had two wonderful ladies on earlier, and the organization is standing in support with this support group because this potential initiative is a creation, and it's a creation where we can give those in Tobago a voice. Many lupus patients in Tobago feel isolated, they feel left behind because there's nothing really in place. I mean, we have doctors in Trinidad, but in Tobago, there's a disadvantage because there is one doctor, a rheumatologist, who comes once a month to provide that assistance to those Tobagonians living with lupus. And, there is a lot more that needs to be done. And I'm so proud to see that there is a support group that's going to be launched to amplify the voices of Tobagonians living in Trinidad and Tobago, ensuring that they have access to necessary resources and support. And, we can work towards a future where no one faces this disease in silence and alone. I'm so happy. I caught the interview a little late. I heard that, they want to empower patients, and that's the whole heart of it. Empowering patients to understand, listen, despite having lupus, you can thrive. Despite having lupus, you can still pursue your goals and dreams. Those two ladies are testament that they can, in spite of living with the condition, they've been motivated well enough that they can stand in the gap and say, listen, we want to pioneer something. I mean, I've sown the seeds over the last how many years, but we really need the vehicle to push the awareness, to continue to be in the face of the authorities and even John Public. Because let me tell you something, there's a lot of stigma attached to lupus. There is a lot of stigma. I remember when I used to be there so actively in the years gone by, we had men who live with lupus coming and telling me, they used to call me like a sister. And some of them would call me a mother, and they would say, mother, people think I have AIDS. People think I have, it's leprosy. People think it's a type of cancer. So there's a lot of stigma associated with lupus. And I'm really happy to see that there is going to be change for awareness, because listen, how can you say you don't have lupus if you do not know what it is? And I think the awareness is very critical, education is very critical, and we need to support each other.
Right. And there are instances where persons have lupus and it goes undiagnosed or even unrecognized for a while before it begins to actually show signs and symptoms.
Not only that, we have medical persons in Scarborough who are discriminating those who have lupus. I have a patient right now in hospital. She has not been seen for 3 days by a doctor. 3 days, and she's a part of the organization here, a part of our support group. And every day she gives us updates. There needs to be education, not just from the ground, but even the medical fraternity. It's unacceptable. It is just unacceptable that you have persons who are qualified, they are medical experts, whether it's nurses and doctors, and you have people being triaged to the medical emergency and they do not understand that lupus can affect and attack all the organs in the body. And you have some of these same doctors calling some of these patients hypochondriacs, and they're faking, and they're a junkie and what have you. There has to be conversation to explain, to understand that no two lupus patients are alike, and the treatment for lupus, you have to understand that there is not a quick fix. It's not a quick fix. There is not even a specific drug. Listen to me carefully. Hear what I'm not saying. Do not hear what I'm not saying. They treat lupus and the symptoms. They don't treat the disease. They treat the symptoms. So no two lupus patients are alike. So you may have a patient exhibiting a particular symptom or symptoms, and then you may have another one that is not traditional. You have to understand the complexity of this disease. And it's been far too long of a cry where Tobagonians, those living with lupus, they face so many setbacks in the healthcare system in Tobago. And I'm not knocking the healthcare system. Forgive me if I sound like I am, but there has to be equity in healthcare, because too many people are suffering. It breaks my heart every time that young lady has to go to seek medical attention. We have patients who have faced abuse when they go before the board for social grants, where you don't look sick. But if you're sick, why you make children? These are some of the conversations that people have with patients. That is just so disrespectful, and it's not right. So conversations need to happen. So I'm so happy, Kayla and Tanisha, they are championing, along with the Voice of Lupus, to continue this discussion so that there can be equity across the board. And we need to stop the stigma, stop the discrimination. Lupus is an invisible disability. We need to get with the program. We need to understand that not all diseases can be seen. And we need to educate from the top, from the bottom to the top. You cannot tell me there are social workers in Tobago who are telling patients, you don't look sick, so you don't deserve a grant. That is nonsense. You can't get a grant because if you're well enough to have children, you're well enough to have a job. That is nonsense.
Understood. But I honestly don't think that is, systematically how the social grant works. I know from a disability perspective, persons are asked to bring a medical document that proves that they do have the disability, and that is how the process moves forward. But I'm not sure, and then I cannot speak to persons who would have faced that type of discrimination, but systematically,
right, the system is that they have to go through the medical. The doctor would sign off on whether they can apply for public assistance or they qualify for disability. And many of them, they get the authorization from the doctor. But when they go before the board in social welfare in Tobago, that's where the issue lies. Now, not everyone qualifies for disability, but they would be qualified for public assistance, medical public assistance.
Understood. And what are some of the things that your organizations is doing right now in Tobago as it pertains to raising awareness?
So since the pandemic, we stopped coming to Tobago because let me tell you something, no man is an island. And for me, living with lupus, for almost 8 years, every month I was in Tobago and it took a toll on my body. So after the pandemic, I had to take a step back and I had to prioritize my health. And the organization would love to have a presence in Tobago. Unfortunately, since the pandemic, we have not been to Tobago. And we are providing whatever support we can to this new support group so that they can have the impact and they can continue to support those in Tobago living with lupus. But there needs to be conversation, as I said, with the movers and the shakers, with the THA, because I remember on the Tobago House of Assembly, the chief of the Tobago House of Assembly, Mr. Over London, I remember we were educating and going through all the community centers and what have you, and we had the support of them to do that. And it transcended to us having that impact for about 8 years. But then I could not keep up. I just physically could not keep up.
Totally
So
understood.
what we do is that we do have a support group on WhatsApp, and there are many patients in Tobago who reach out, and we try as best as we can to have that inclusion. I mean, we just ended World Lupus Day on Saturday. We had a conference virtually. We had medical experts and nutritionists and what have you, and they were a part of the conversation.
And so, do you want to leave the number for persons who are willing to join or want to get engaged with some of the activities that you're doing here?
I would like that persons in Tobago who are living with lupus to reach out to Shades of Purple, because they are on the ground and they are the ones who would be able to assist immediately. But if you still want to connect with the national voice and the national organization in Trinidad and Tobago, you can reach out to 327-0220. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and you can send us an email if you so desire, voiceoflupus@gmail.com.
Excellent. And we want to thank you so much for all the work that you have been doing and the work that you're continuing to do as it pertains to lupus awareness and just support for those persons that are battling with lupus. Is there anything you want to say before we leave this morning?
Listen, I think lupus patients deserve kindness. They deserve compassion. Not every disease, not every disability can be seen. And we need to understand that lupus is a complex disease. It's often misunderstood. There are a lot of people living with lupus in Tobago, but they do not speak about it because of the stigma that's associated with living with this condition. There are many of them who are afraid to even whisper it because they don't want to lose their jobs. They're worried about their livelihoods. I just want to say that there needs to remain a pressing need for support in Tobago. My heart is for Tobago. I love Tobago. I believe that there needs to be representation. The island's residents living with this condition often faces challenges, especially in accessing care, lupus care, leading to delayed diagnoses and also inadequate treatment. And establishing this dedicated support group and having awareness campaigns on healthcare services in Tobago would be crucial to ensure that Tobagonians living with lupus are not left behind. And the organization Voice of Lupus, we're also embarking on some services like essential services, vision screening, diabetes testings, etc., stuff like that. It's a multifaceted approach to treating lupus because of the side effects of the medications. There are two main drugs that are used to treat lupus. One is hydroxychloroquine, and the side effects of those medication can potentially cause vision loss. And then you also have steroids, prednisolone. Steroids is known, it's an immune suppressive drug, but it also causes side effects, and one of them is glaucoma, cataract, glaucoma, and other eye issues. So we really need to have that intervention, because I know here in Trinidad, there are patients who are waiting as much as 16 months just to get an eye appointment at the nation's hospitals. And I'm sure that there are challenges in Tobago as well. So we really want to bring that over into Tobago as well, so that it can play a pivotal role in providing tangible support and really giving them a positive outcome at winning and thriving in spite of having this autoimmune disease. So I really want.
Excellent. Ms. Harilal, we want to thank you so much for your time this morning. We're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back right after this. See you soon.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a beating road. All day we beating road. All day I beating road. All day we beating road. Spirited man beating road. Spirited man beating road. Spirited man beating road. What to do? Let us see how stick you could get. See how stick you could get. Let us see how stick you could. See how stick you could. See how stick you could get. Let us see how stick you could get. See how stick you could get. Let us see how stick you could. See how stick you could. See how stick you could get. Wet me down, wet me down, wet me down, wet me down. Wet me down, wet me
business's new smart solutions powered by super fast, reliable broadband. You'll feel like there are more versions of you working for you. From website design, development, and digital marketing to promote your business, 24/7 business class support to cloud solutions, security, and more. Multiply your growth today.
Do you think you know Premier League or Champions League football? What about international cricket or the IPL and CPL? How about NBA basketball? Well, now you can put your skills to work to earn some extra cash by betting on the games with TT Bet Arena. Simply go to our website, choose a sport you want to bet on, find the games, and place your bets. And with your computer or mobile device, you can bet from anywhere. Just go to ttbetarena.com, sign up for a free account, make a deposit, and start betting. It's that simple. You can even qualify for our $2,000 sign-up bonus. We also have horse racing, plus live casino games where you can bet using TT dollars. And check our new Tobago location at 7B Milford Road, Crown Point. For more info, call or WhatsApp 494-0634. TT Bet Arena, the #1 sports betting company in Trinidad and Tobago.
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago, right here on Tobago Updates. Again, I am your host, Chanel Felix. Now, this morning we continue our discussions and we are chatting a bit about the return of the police commissioner, Earl Haywood Christopher. And to have this conversation with me this morning, I have the privilege of sitting in studio and chatting with attorney at law, Mr. William Nurse, also former ACP. Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Felix, and good morning to your viewership, all of Tobago and wherever they may be.
Right. Now, what we are observing right now happening in the TTPS is nothing short of a power struggle. We saw yesterday that the police commissioner, Earl Haywood Christopher, returned to office after having been cleared by the court. And this morning we're hearing that there was somewhat of a struggle as acting police commissioner Junior Benjamin stated that he is still in charge as no official documents or assumption of duty document has come to his office as it pertains to the reinstatement of the police commissioner. He stated that he has not received a revocation of his acting appointment, and as such, he is still in charge. Is it possible to have two police commissioners functioning in charge of the TTPS?
If we remember, in 1985, the Pope visited Tobago, and there was a calypso that said, two commissioner, two chief justice. I hope the Prime Minister tell the Pope about this. The point is, the police service has always been a contentious place. Now, at that level, it is the responsibility of the Police Service Commission to iron out those little patches. So the court has cleared Miss Earl Christopher and has ordered her return to the job. Miss Christopher contract, extended 1-year contract, comes to an end on the 15th. The question is, did the Service Commission comply with the order of the court? And if the revocation did not come to Mr. Junior Benjamin, and Miss Earl Christopher was not given the clearance to return to work, then the Service Commission seemed to have not done what it is supposed to do. And their actions might very well be justiciable.
Understood. And who takes responsibility for a situation like this? And how is the Service Commission, held accountable? What is the repercussion for something like this?
Well, the Service Commission is a public body, right? And according to the Constitution, it is responsible for appointing the Commissioner of Police and the Deputy Commissioners of Police according to the police service. And so they are responsible for the administrative aspect of those two ranks. And if the Service Commission, well, then the question is, why continue to keep Ms. Erla Christopher on suspension? The DPP has written very clearly that that there is really no issue, going forward. So the investigation at hand, in my opinion, reading from what the DPP has said, has cleared Ms. Christopher, right? There is no probable cause for them to charge. Then the court has ordered her reinstatement. And I don't know if it is true that the revocation of Mr. Benjamin did not come and Ms. Erla Christopher was not clear to return to work, then somebody seemed to be in contempt of court.
Understood. Now, even as it pertains to the type of working environment that is created with this type of conflict, do you see that creating a toxic working environment that lacks productivity?
Well, yes. The police service has been plunged into that situation since 2006 by the Police Service Act number 7 of 2006. It is a worthless piece of legislation. I've said it here before and I'm going to say it again. Now, that piece of legislation seemed to have come about because of an interaction that the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Manning, had with a police constable. And the police constable was there rude. He was rude. That matter was adjudicated upon and the police constable was dismissed. So they brought this piece of legislation. And if you look, and the legislation in itself is very discriminatory. It discriminates. Look at the police, look at the other entities within the Ministry of Homeland Security. The prisons doesn't have to go through those hoops. The Defense Force, an office that is higher on the list of protocol than the police service doesn't have to do that. The requirement to be commissioner and deputy commissioner, you must have a master's, and that's the dividing line. There is no other public service post in Trinidad and Tobago that requires that. None. So it is what we call to be a piece of legislation that was developed with bad mind. Bad mind. It's a bad piece of legislation. And I don't know, I think the present government should look again at the police service. Because if you don't fix that, how on God's earth are you going to fix the police service itself? So there is no clear leadership at this point.
Right. And how does that even affect the regular functioning of the police service when you don't know who you are coming to work to report to or taking directives from? And there are questions surrounding possible retaliation from Erla Haywood Christopher as it pertains to, that type of dismissal that she faced in that suspension.
Two things come into mind. Span of control. One of them is span of control. And you cannot have two people operating at the same time in the same space with the same level of power. That is utter confusion. So, and it is the duty of the Service Commission to fix that. And whether Ms. Erla Christopher had 1 month, 1 day, 1 year, 1 decade to go, it is their responsibility to fix it.
Can she take legal action against them?
Of course she can. Why not? Why not?
Under what grounds?
Well, if they fail to do something, maybe they can judicially review that. Because, there is no basis upon which you're keeping her on suspension. The court ordered her return to her reinstatement.
And if she was unlawfully suspended, when we look at the case after, having all well, not being charged at all. Is it possible for her to report some of her colleagues, so her subordinates who did the arrest to the Service Commission to have their positions reviewed?
Well, the question is, if you look at the judgment, the judge was very clear that if you are investigating the highest office for acts arising out of that office, then the removal of the office holder, not necessarily the commissioner, is a wise move, is a prudent move. So the office holder steps aside, the investigation proceeds, and if the investigation reveals nothing, right? But in some jurisdiction in the Caribbean, it's a bit different because I had the privilege of investigating the police commissioner in another jurisdiction. I wouldn't call where. And they suspended him before our investigation started. And he, on that basis, was able to take the service commission to court and won. So it was after our investigation started against that commissioner that, his suspension was ordered. Yeah.
Okay. And, even as the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service tries to move forward and reconcile from this situation that has not only put a stain on the public opinion of the TTPS, but the internal functionings and how persons feel about their colleagues and their ability to get their throat cut at any point in time just for a position. How does the TTPS reconcile this? What has to be done internally to change this culture?
There will continue to be, of course, let us examine the police service. There are two sets of people in the police service pertaining to the police service, the external public and the internal public. The external public already has little or no trust in the police service. That's a foregone conclusion. But when it comes to the internal public, even those persons who were involved in the investigation themselves, the internal public will therefore not trust them. They will see them in a particular light. It is possible that they may. And what does that do for the police service? So you lack the trust of the external public and you have lost the trust of the internal public. How is that going to work?
How do they reconcile this?
Well, you have to look and see how much leave those officers have. I'm dead serious. They need to look and see how much leave they have and send every one of them on leave.
Well, you are echoing the sentiments of former police commissioner Gary Griffith, because he said, those persons should be removed because of the actions that they would have taken. But even as the public, we look on and we see this type of thing happening, it further erodes that trust that we have in the police. And the question lies, even though we now have a Minister of Justice, right, and we have Homeland Security, how is policy structured to try to combat this?
Well, the change of a ministry's name in itself wouldn't really do much. Government policy must be developed, and departments within ministries must aspire to keep government policy. You must develop your own strategic plans and strategic operations to consistent with government policy. Well, I don't know. This government policy, the only thing I've heard is that they want to have crime reduced within 6 months. Now, the speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. Who is the leader in the police service? As at present, because today is the 14th, Miss Erla Christopher's time expires tomorrow, possibly at midnight tonight. Right?
Okay.
So, What are you going to do?
And the service commissioner is saying she should have her appointment letter in hand this morning. So
Well,
does one become appointed the day that they are sent?
The last day in office.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what I've heard, what I have read is that the suspension of Miss Erla Christopher will she was accorded all her entitlements and so on. Now, the last time that happened to a commissioner, where a commissioner was suspended, was after Mr. Burrows was suspended, and a lot of police officers were suspended by the old Police Service Commission regulation. And they were suspended without charge. And they took the matter to court and won. Now, when people are given power, I mean, power is a tool, but you must not just want to use power at first resort. So what we saw going on with the police service there was really a power struggle, a clear power struggle. Because I don't know if I heard right. The news is saying that there is still an investigation involving Miss Erla Christopher.
I think that the DPP would have already shut that down. Now that came from one of the deputy police commissioners, I believe, that said that they were going to continue to look into it, but the DPP did shut that down and said there's no grounds to continue an investigation. There's insufficient evidence.
Well, one does not know whether there is another version of the investigation, or one does not know whether or not there is a new entity of the investigation which must be carried on. And when the DPP has spoken, and a deputy commissioner could make such a statement, it tells you that all is not well, and they are washing dirty linens in public. Investigation is a nice thing, and if you can do it and do it well, it benefits the nation. So what I saw with Miss Erla Christopher, I am being disappointed. Saying that I'm disappointed would fall woefully short of what I feel actually. Yeah.
And the persons who feel like her personality and her way of doing things are not strong enough for the position that she's in. I had an interview this week with former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith, and he said to me, if that was him in that position, knowing the law and having the law at hand, he would have chased them out of his office like a dog and let them know that what they were doing was not in alignment with the law and they need to come again, basically. So do you think that, they would have taken advantage of her personality? Not the fact that she is a woman, but maybe just her disposition, being a bit more calm and
Well, Section 3 of the Criminal Law Act, Chapter 1004, gives the police wide powers of arrest without a warrant for suspicion on reasonable grounds of suspicion of the commission of an indictable offense. And we all know indictable offenses are those very serious offenses triable by judge and jury or by judge alone. And if you are investigating misbehavior in public office, it is indeed an indictable offense.
Right, but what he was saying is when you look at the law, what was done is not illegal. Procurement of the type of rifle, it is not illegal for a police commissioner to sign off on that.
We haven't reached there yet.
Okay.
The threshold for the investigation is a little lower than that. And had she resisted, they could have possibly charged her with resisting arrest. The whole situation, in my opinion, was not handled properly. It was handled very poorly. And because there's a lot of background check that you needed to do. And if you look at the structure, there's a firearms unit, and they will have all the documents relating to firearms, all the authority, all the signing, all the documents signed. And I don't think they had to go to Miss Erla Christopher in the fashion that they went. This is my view.
Okay, but how would you have suggested that that approach be done? Because you're saying that they were in their rights, based on the investigation, to arrest. But how do you suggest that should have been done?
There are levels of investigation. So you're gathering when you're gathering information, you gather the information. And when you reach to the stage where like the office of the commissioner must be searched, that's a very delicate situation to reach. That means the investigation has advanced to a certain level. Now, the service commission, they could have approached the service commission.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? I don't know. I approached the service commission with a report. What I found very strange is that the investigator herself furnished the service commission with a report that is self-serving. Now, the Deputy Commissioner Administration was the best person to have furnished that report to the Service Commission. You understand what I'm saying? And the Service Commission will then inform Ms. Erla Christopher, listen, there's an investigation ongoing here, and the police would want to interview you, and we are removing you from office, or they could have sent her on vacation.
Understood.
Right.
But had you been in that position, would you have returned to office after that suspension?
Yes. I have a legal and moral responsibility to Trinidad and Tobago as police commissioner. Miss Erla Christopher, all the people who have said what they have said, she was duly appointed by the Service Commission and have gone through all the processes, and therefore she must not vacate because people want her to vacate. And she's innocent, as we have all seen.
All right. And pending her resignation, the end of her contract tomorrow, does that mean that Junior Benjamin then continues to act as Commissioner of Police from tomorrow?
Well, if she is to continue in office, the cabinet can give her another 1 year extension. That will be the third, and that's the final, right? And if the cabinet choose not to do that, then the service, that means she would go off into her retirement, and they will now appoint somebody to act as commissioner.
And most likely it would be the same.
Well, yes, most likely it could be Junior Benjamin. But the process have to go all over again to Her Excellency the President, to the government, and then to the Parliament.
Okay, understood. But now that there is a new government in place, there are a number of new opportunities to serve, to contribute, and to give of your expertise. Do you see yourself possibly providing those services to the current government, whether as a consultant or on any of those legal boards?
Miss, I am retired. I want to have nothing to do with the police service. Nothing whatsoever. I have done what I have done. I spent 41 years there. And the best I can do is to wish the police service well.
All right. So we would not see you serving on any of those state boards as it pertains to giving your legal advice or guidance to maybe help restructure that same police service that you don't no longer want to be.
Sometimes I see myself as a lawyer of the poor people.
Right.
Like those poor people in Glamorgan and Bell Garden who have their little cases and they can't they can't get to the court because there's nobody to take them to the court on their behalf. Those are the people I am interested in. Beyond that, now let me say this, and I want to say this cautiously. I was educated at the expense of the Tobago people. This is my time to give back to them. Yeah.
Totally understood. I mean, well, we want to thank you for offering those perspectives, but also breaking it down for us so that we have a better understanding of exactly what is happening. Because the truth is, the average citizen, we're looking on at this saga happening in the police service, but we really do not understand the intricacies and the procedures and the acts and the sections that pertain to what can be done and how it can be done. Because the average person might say, well, if I was a Christopher, I wouldn't go back there. I would just tell them, keep their job. And then there are the persons who would say, well, if I were to go back there, those persons who would have arrested me would have felt my wrath. So, based on the procedures and how things work and how you report persons to the Service Commission and how that whole process goes, we get to understand that things don't just work like that.
It don't. But one thing before I go, if you allow me, this government should look precipitously at the Police Service Act. Section 16 is a dangerous it's dangerous. There are 3 levels of assessment for promotion in the service. Commissioner, Deputy Commissioner, other First Division officers, and Second Division officers. It's crazy. It's mad. And they cost a lot of money. The assessment for First Division officers who man their division is counterproductive. When you hear that time comes around, officers lock themselves away, and there is no leadership in the division in most instances. They have to look again. And if they ask what I would do, send your police officers to command colleges abroad, broaden their perspective, internationalize their thinking on policing. That's my view.
Excellent. I think that's a great recommendation. Yeah. See why you should probably be serving on one of those boards.
I'm serving now.
Guys, we want to thank you so much for being a part of this morning's discussion. I want to say a special thank you to Mr. William Mills for coming in and giving us those perspectives this morning. I want to thank you for your likes, your shares, and your comments, and all that you have done and continue to do to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. Again, I am Chanel Felix, and have a great day.
It's a brand new morning, rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion starts around.